All right, welcome back to our second game of the Northern League Championship. Rather here today, it is going to be KOVA versus Granit. Two teams who's been one in the middle of the pack and one at the bottom end of the standings. And if you haven't been following KOVA, Orcs, what is it that's not going well for this team right now, and what do they need to fix it?
It just feels like this team a little bit all over the place. It doesn't feel like they're on the same page with how they want to play team fights. They're a little bit underwhelming in the laner phase as well. We saw a team who seemed very much in line with what they wanted to do last season. They had a pretty strong bot lane, and in the team fighting, they actually came out strong, but they've kind of lost that team fighting charm that allowed them to even beat some of the higher end teams, and they haven't made up anything else. And so as a result, there isn't really anything that's going that right for them. I think the big thing for me is Outlandish just seems disconnected from the rest of the team. I don't know whether it's on him or the rest of the team, but they're making plays without the jungler, and as a result, they'll constantly get outmatched.
Yeah, I
we
think
have
that's a good
obviously
point.
geared up with picks and ban here. Foxy, what do you make of the first start here? Obviously, Granit as well. Having two Danes, you should see them as the superior team, shouldn't you?
Right, yeah, absolutely. Of course, that's definitely what's happening here. Yeah, well, the superior team of Danes is obviously scared of Outlandish's team, which I think is very fair, right? So I think that Outlandish, yes, he's been very disconnected from his team, as Orc says, not quite as disconnected as Yusa, but still he's up there. And it's like, I think Outlandish still can make stuff happen, and I like the kind of wacky, not necessarily wacky picks, but like the interesting picks that he can bring to the table, just throw out curveballs. And I think for KOVA at this point, you do have to play for comfort, right? And, I think that starts with Outlandish in the jungle and with his pick. But either way, we're going to see a first pick here for the Gwen. No surprise to see that one being thrown down, and Tattoo as well on this set, which actually, this might be a support set as well, mind you. This is a flex at this point, especially with Kalista. But either way, taking this away from Hess is quite nice because it is his most played champion too.
Now, Kalista to me seems like a champion where you want to go hard in the laning phase. So they're looking like to do that now. What's the response picks from Granit then? Do you focus the support? Do you go for solo laners? What's the plan here, Dan? Or Orcs, rather. You're both Dan.
I think matching in terms of an AD carry is pretty good. Tristana can do okay into the Kalista. Can actually do okay in duels and can alter away if needed. I would probably save support until you kind of see what you're dealing with, because you want to try and make sure you have a solid matchup in that regard. Although, as I say this, it looks like Granit might just be committing to the Leona early on. With the Thresh band away, it definitely puts it on a higher pedestal in terms of limiting what can counter it. But I feel like if KOVA have an opportunity to find a favorable matchup here for the Kalista, it could make the bot lane really difficult.
Yeah, I think as well, really important for KOVA is that they do enable Snurmy, because I think Snurmy's great. I think he's been one of the best performing members of that team. And so just anything you can do, to get that guy going, to enable him in that lane phase, really, really important stuff. And it obviously all starts in the draft. And here you go, you're going to be able to get that counter pick there with the Alistar into the Leona.
And that's a really solid lane. It looks like Kalista, Alistar, probably one of the OG lanes with Kalista outside of the Thresh, which is already banned here. So junglers still up and available. Is this something we're going to see banned here, or are they going to be limiting themselves by doing this?
I feel like KOVA kind of can decide what they want to do with this, because they have the option, obviously, with that first priority. If Granit ban away junglers, KOVA still have one open and available, so there's a little bit of flexibility in that regard. I don't think we're necessarily going to see the Gwen go jungle, as much as Granit might have the option to. But the thing is, with KOVA ban away mid laners, this Tristana could just be moved there, so may not necessarily have that much value, and with the Gwen, you have plenty of AP. I will say, though, something I like about KOVA's composition is you're giving a lot of agency to Chara and Snurmy in the bot lane, and with that set, this looks like a pretty brainless composition when it comes to team fighting. It's like you just go in, everyone engages together, and you go ham. And I think when things are going wrong for a team, you want easy to execute compositions like that are very straightforward.
We've said that so many times in the NLC as well. Just the team that has the easier to execute comp often comes out on top. And like exactly as you say, if you're struggling, just keep it simple, And I do think a team comp like this, perfect stuff for KOVA. if they do want to keep the game, away from those kind of like difficult to execute compositions. I think there's a lot of flexes on the side here, though, by the way, from Granit as well. Like you say, that Tristana could be mid, it could also be bot. I think the Gwen can be flexed in 3 different positions. So as far as KOVA's concerned, they're not really entirely sure what they're going up against so far. But it is going to be that Viego lock-in, which I wouldn't... This feels like a great Outlandish champion to me as well. Like, I can really see Outlandish doing things on this champ. But it does leave them quite like physical damage heavy, so they're gonna have to find some more magic damage with this last pick.
Yeah, I think that's my only concern. And if you put Viego mid and the set the top lane, which I think are the stronger roles overall, you're really kind of limited in terms of AP junglers because there's the Rumble's banned away. We've seen things like the Morgana slip away for the meta. Nidalee probably isn't enough AP. There is Diana, which Outlandish is playing, and would go on theme with it. But even then, it's not a ton of AP. But either way, it's definitely a strong pick and kind of fits the theme of what they're trying to achieve. On the other side, though, I like the Wukong, really strong in the laner phase, great with Divine Sundra, and offers a lot of disruption. Even if you're playing a sort of defensive game, that Cyclone on top of an Engage can really stop the KOVA in their tracks. And then the Victor is a great backline threat, who obviously with the Gravity Field again, allows you to play a bit more of that front to back for that team composition. I think for KOVA, you've committed to the dive already. I think you keep committing. And I mean, that is definitely committed to the dive fantasies with the Zac coming in.
Now, Foxdrop, explain to me what I'm looking at here for KOVA, because I'm seeing some stuff I'm used to, and then I'm seeing a Zac that I haven't really seen in a while.
I mean, you just have some big boys that are gonna jump in onto Granit. That's what you got there. You got the set, you got the Zac, Alistair combined with that Kalista ulti as well. I just love it. I mean, I talked about Outlandish. He has these strange picks, and you just got to play for comfort, and bam, there it is. He whips out the Zac. It's so dive focused, it's so forward focused. How these kind of comps really easy to play, a lot of fun to watch. But if you fall behind, you're basically screwed, right? Because you only really have
in a vacuum as well, yeah.
I think in this situation, they've got a really good setup because you enter a Victor mid lane, immobile. You have the setup. You have the Zac and the Viego can both dive onto him. And on top of that, you have AP jungle and mid on the side of Granit. Very easy for both Viego and Zac to grab a bit of MR, perhaps Merc Treads, which with the amount of CC would be good value. And then it makes them really hard to deal with the Victor until later on. And you can set that pace in the game, translate the pressure bot, and just get the ball rolling.
But enough about us. Let's throw this game onto our lovely casters who'll be taking us on to game 2. Not Hiprain, Viperoon, the better version, and Jamada, take it away.
Good save.
You saved it at the end there. Just about saved by you, Goldberg. But hello, it's me, Viperoon, joined by better Hiprain.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll switch it up. But Jamada, we've got. I saw when we were in the chat. Just you typing okay in all caps. So what are you?
Yes, the Zac
What's
bit.
exciting you?
I don't get to cast Zac often. It's a very fun champion to watch. He makes things happen. That's the thing about Zac. Like, he wants to go in all the time. That's kind of what Zac does. He doesn't do all of this kite back peel business. And I think when you're looking at the mid lane matchup in particular, when you've got Viego and Victor, he's got a pretty solid target to kind of repeat gank. I don't think Gwen as a jungler is the kind of jungler that can get up in Zac's face per se on a more consistent basis to interrupt his farming patterns like, Olaf, Nidalee, those kind of irritating permanent invade champions. So Zac pick here, honestly, I think is a pretty strong pick, especially when, you've got 3 melee champions as well on the team. There's not really a whole crazy amount of interrupts on his engage either. He's gonna have a pretty good time as longest game of NLC 2021 summer so far is Zol vs Granit.
41 minutes in this meta. In this meta, that's pretty long. I mean, game 2 yesterday felt very long. With the whole Tricks deciding that their game plan was not to play the game, which was not interactive. But we're into a different game now. We've got Granit on the blue side. We've got KOVA on the red. And I can't. Outlandish is a player who, as the desk was saying, maybe hasn't gelled 100% with the team. We don't know if that's something that he needs to work on, the team.
It's strange, though. It's strange to think about because this KOVA roster is a roster that from spring to summer has only changed its mid laner. So something obviously isn't quite sticking in comparison to last split. This team is capable of giving us some pretty incredible moments, but it not been able to find it on as consistent a basis as they probably like to, as Tiara and Slurm are going to defend this level 1 bush ward to death. I'm going to let Wixo and Baber get onto that, so nice little defense there, small micro thing, but on the top side, and I'm just going to start on his Raptors. It'll be interesting to keep a track of the sort of clear speeds of both Gwen and Zac. Of course, again, I don't really feel like Gwen is the kind of champion that can, you know, do a whole bunch of work in terms of interrupting Zac's farming patterns. He is going to be a little bit slow on the clear. He probably won't get out of the jungle if he's going for a full clear until about sort of 3:30-ish, give or take, if he's clearing as efficiently as he can. So that could give Indecision some early windows. He skips a camp or two maybe to find a gank or pick up double skull or things like that. You still have to take into account things like lane priority, where you can see the Indecision, he's pathing towards the bottom side, where right now there isn't any lane prior, but it could mean with Snurmy and Tiara being pushed up, they are obviously pretty viable gank targets. It's Outlandish still on this top side, so let's think about the slow clear, 2 minutes 40 into the game. Only now finishing up the target spot. He's going to go for a reset, so we'll keep an eye on what he does.
That's hit level 3 though, so he's going to be resetting, grabbing himself. That Ruby Crystal can kind of get a little bit bigger, but I'm excited to see what Sturby does on this Glister as he steps forward aggressively. So much damage going through. We saw Deadly putting on an absolute clinic on Kalista yesterday. I know you broke down a really smart micro play where he was stacking Ren stacks up off a minion and then getting all the skill shots landing, and it looked very, very good in slow motion. So, you know, you were ruining it by drawing on it. But past that, it was a very cool play. And are we expecting Snurmy to be doing those kind of things alongside Tiara with Alistair, who, Des will say, perfect combination with this champion?
We'll have to see. I believe this is Snurmy's first Kalista game.
It is, yeah.
Pretty sure it is. So we'll have to see. I can't recall him playing it as forced engage. Underneath the tower, Wixlow goes. Honestly, he can just dive to the Ren.
Careful, he's going to be burning down. The Ignite is rolling. Tiara also needs to be careful. There's the first blood going over to Tiara, and that was a disastrous play there from Granit.
Yeah, there's the value of getting that Alistar matchup into Leona. Leo goes in, gets pulled up, gets headbutted back, and all of a sudden, you're behind the Kalista where you have to walk away from her somehow. You can't walk underneath the tower. You've got to tank up all the walls. The Rens stack up. The Ignite ticks down. And because of all the time Indecision spent here trying to potentially help Baber actually deliver this wave, and it's still going to end up in a freeze, Indecision got a skull crap off a full clear top side where he reset and then cleared his blue bottom side. So Indecision losing out on the bottom skull too. Even eyed up potentially a bottom side gank. He's still waiting for it. I think, in my opinion, should just move over to the mid lane, try and force Mio back and then get the other skull too. Thinking about it now perhaps, but Indecision will be up here and there's lane prior for his zero, so we'll have to see how it goes. There's a lot of autos being traded for the monkey and top laners. Here we go. It's impossible to predict these kind of ganks.
Muta really immobile mid laner will be able to get the flash away, but that has now been used. So next time around Outlandish, we'll probably have a much better time, but yeah, Victor, they said in the desk, and you said it yourself, it's going to be such a right ground for just gank after gank from the Zac.
Yeah, and here's the thing. As soon as Zac hits that level 5 point where you've then got 3 points, that's when it's kind of impossible to be out of range of a Zac gank. And it's one of the sort of versatile things about him, the gank angles that you can approach from. You know, unless you've got full lane priority, these kind of angles can be difficult to ward for. Like you saw, he just ganked from Raft a bit on Granit's side of the map, and he's back already. Here as low flash on Mio, just honestly finding the stretching strikes could be enough.
He's going to be brought back in. We'll be able to get the stun down onto Viego. He's going to be taking tower shots, but not one more, simply able to move away. But Muta almost turned that into a turnaround. Yeah,
he did, and the Indecision also ticked level 5, so now it's at the point where either side of the lane that he approaches, it's going to be pretty difficult for Mio to find a safe area, and because of all of the lane priority on the bottom side, it's going to be a pretty free early dragon as Indecision is clearing from his top jungle down. Ren comes through, a couple more O's and W's, and this will be Battle Dragon picked up for KOVA, which is pretty nice to have in this game, honestly. All of these ultimates, for the most part, want to be casted ASAP. KOVA likely to want to be pretty proactive, particularly in the early to mid game, which they have been so far. Indecision, multiple ganks in the mid lane, very reactive to the bottom side of the map as well. Pretty good start for KOVA on the Granit side of things. Going terribly. Top side, they've got a 10 CS lead. Sarah, of course, spoke about going towards that Divine Thunderer. We've also seen Curb on multiple occasions run the Manamune Muramana build. with this Divine Thunder. I'm not sure whether we'll quite see the same thing out of Granit's top laner here, but certainly does deal a lot of damage. Can be fun to watch.
I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff from Curb, though.
Yes, we have.
He's played multiple games of Cho'Gath this season. Just as a general reminder. But while we've got a little bit of a lull, Mr. Jamada, would you like to hear a fun Babraw fact?
Okay. All for it.
Babraw has 41% of all of Granit's kills this season.
51. Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty high. Often say one player has over a third of a team's kills, so Babraw putting in the work. Do you, by any coincidence, happen to have his damage share at hand?
I don't
Just
know.
that. Okay, I was just curious
Oh,
because kill share can be very deceptive. I'll put it that way.
Nah.
Can't put in all of the work.
All solo kills. Every single one solo kills.
Solo kill.
You can quote me on that. I wouldn't be
because,
right, but you can quote me on it.
No, because I remember doing prep last week for the LEC. I think Viteo rather had a really ridiculous kill share. It was something similar to that, like 41, 45%, something like that. But his damage, he had like the third highest damage per minute on his team because Hero. I think it was Hero and its AD carry were actually dealing more damage per second. As here we go, Outlandish eyeing up another gank. Mio kind of knows, you can see he's paying a lot of respect here, but I mean, he steps forward once, and yeah, this is kind of what
Gets
happens.
bounced on Outlandish. Let's bounce all over the Victor. Muta goes down, cut down by Simply, and Outlandish finally makes the gank mid pay.
Yeah, it makes the gank work, and now I'm not going to say you can potentially starve the Herald, but with all the priority, Simply as well there's no teleport on the Victor. Maybe he just can, even though Wukong could have first move. I don't think Granit have any business, as you see on the minimap as well. Snurmy and Tiara moving up, so should be a Herald, though Zero's poking his head in here. Won't really amount to anything, so gank into Herald. Great stuff so far from KOVA. Kind of priority you want to see, especially out of the stack towards this mid lane. The mobile mid just suffer so heavily into this champion. I mean, realistically, across the map, there's no other lane that he can really abuse, like he can abuse this Victor, so doing a great job.
Don't worry, folks. Babraw has 29% damage in his team. So, doing more than his share, but again...
What's the rest of the team?
Oh man, you're gonna make me like... I'm not out here on the stat sites going through it all.
Okay.
You're the analyst. Wait, hold up. You're the numbers man.
Look. If you bring up the numbers, you best have all of them. All right, it's not my.
Every single number. How can you expect me to have every? I'm a guest here. You're meant to make me feel welcome, and you're sitting here like, oh, I know that Tiara has the highest ward place per minute stat of any player in the NLC. Well, did as of yesterday. I don't know how he did. Gulbug was making big claims about Tiara almost places 2 wards a minute. Fun fact. Which is a lot. Seems like a lot of wards, but I mentioned it yesterday extensively, but Hester,
he took decoy!
Dove time, but it's the decoy, and now the Wukong is in a lot of trouble. Set though, Tattoo flashes away, but one more auto. Wukong with the outplay picks up a kill top.
Wow, I want to get a replay of that. I don't actually think the suplex dealt damage to the Wukong at all because he took the decoy instead. Really nice timing from Hizera there.
Let's have a look.
As let's get a look at it. So out of the bush, Tatui kind of just brings him in with the face breaker, and Hizera says, okay, he takes the face breaker. Doesn't take any damage from the suplex. Which means the trade in return is not great for Tatui here. Nice solo kill from Granit's top laner. Both flashes exchanged, ultimates as well. As supports about to butt heads, but Outlandish is here.
Gone through whip, so manages to get away with the flash, but won't have that one available. Hex Slash though on the Leona means that it's a little bit better about burning that resource. Dragon spawning onto the Rift though. Second of the game will be Mountain, and again, both teams will be pretty happy to pick this one up, but it looks like it's going to be all about KOVA. Honestly, we talked about this team not being on form. They've lost only 1-1 in their last 6 games, but they're looking pretty decent in this early stages.
Yeah, they are, certainly. A lot of points of pressure across the map. The bottom side of the map, very hard to punish for Granit. And in the mid lane, you know, it's the Victor playing against Zac. It's very, very hard to pilot this lane. Now finally we're seeing a dive potentially on the bottom.
Dive teleport's coming through on both sides. Leona misses the ultimate onto Wixo, and now the damage is coming through. Snubby needs to be careful. They're going to look for the re-engage with Alistair potentially, not actually. Tiara decides to back away. No one going down on that dive, but everyone's sticking around. The health bars are pretty low simply on the side. Might look to try and get on top of Muta, but in the top side, Tatu needs to be careful. 2v1 if Indecision gets involved, but the Indecision is showing as he decides to back away. So lots being used, but ultimately it's just going to be KOVA grabbing this tower.
Yeah, and I was actually going to say, whilst they were taking that Mountain Dragon, I would like to see them finally try and shift some resources down into Kalista, because at the end of the day, it's Kalista. She needs to be accelerated in this game. Straight off the back of that Dragon, they do exactly that. They move back down to the bottom side. They force the dive immediately. And whilst nothing really comes of it in terms of kills, the fact that they're able to take the full tower and give Snurmy a pretty big cash injection means that he should be able to finish up his first item now. And they can start to move the Kalista around. Hopefully, try and get him some more plates before they drop off. As top side, Tiara's here. I don't think any forced play is going to happen. And Tatsuya resetting. I'm expecting to see Kalista move up into the top side, though. Walking towards the mid lane at the moment, I think I just want to see Kalista in a lane where she can pick up some plates.
Well, she's already picked up a bunch on the bot side. 1,500 gold lead on her lane opponent. Is that not enough? Is that not good enough for you, Jamada?
Oh, no, it's fine now. But before that, before the plates went down, there wasn't a crazy big lead, perhaps a couple of hundred at best. Because they practically took the full tower in the space of that dive. So, really is a huge injection now. I think for Granit, it is important to say that they do scale really, really well. But it's about getting there at the moment, as slowly but surely you see the pressure mounting up. As Wixu, so rather, victim of vision. KOVA had it all set up. Nothing he can really do, trying to rotate up to the top side to save his top laner from an impending dive, ends up being the victim himself.
And now they can move up onto this top side. You said you wanted Snurby to be injected with more cash, and it looks like that's exactly what KOVA are doing, but Tiara and Tatu are going to be sharing in one of those plates, not able to get any more as Hez Zero and Indecision move on up to defend the tower. Plates fall off in 10 seconds, that's going to be all she wrote, but 4,000 gold in the lead almost for KOVA coming into the 14-minute mark, and a really, really healthy position. Now the question is, how do they accelerate this lead? How do they move into the mid game and still find success?
It's about creating huge pockets of fog for me, to allow Outlandish to find some, you know, long-range engages, whether they're from crazy angles or not. Just give him paths and ins, make sure that Granit always have to constantly think, is Zac about to elastic slingshot over this wall? And I think the pressure alone from that can honestly give KOVA a lot of breathing room. Now, seems like Granit finally going to be able to respond with something with this tower. A lot of the KOVA members either resetting or just not on this side of the map. So it might take another wave. The Granit members in the area, though, they want to try and dive whoever shows up to try and defend this tower. They want to try and get an injection of gold. Let's see if Tatui's 6th sense is online. Spidey senses. Essentially, doesn't seem like they are.
That's not a spider, so he's going to be caught out. The Leona also will land onto him, and yeah, there's a shield, but I don't know if it's going to matter. Baberol gets away. He goes pretty low, but does manage to survive, so we'll call that perfectly planned.
Yes, calculated, as they say.
Yeah.
Baberol at no risk of dying at all. Hope you can hear the sarcasm in my voice, but they still get the tower, they still get the gold. So they'll be happy walking away with that play. Outlandish on the top side, though. Let's take this Rift Herald again. Dragon is spawning in 50 seconds, and they've already got 2 to their name. So they are able to pick up this next one. Infernal Soul is the kind of dragon that can certainly start to, you know, alleviate some of the scaling pressures that this game could potentially have as time progresses. Gold lead only sat around 3,000. Say only for 15 minutes, that's relatively large. You get a look at the gold across the board. 1,000 deficit in the mid lane for Granit, unfortunately, but it's been all about that pressure from the Zac. The jungle roll, about even. Top side, actually positive for Granit, about 1,000, but it's that bottom lane lead. It's about 1.4k, which is making up a large amount of this deficit at the moment. Mid lane, Herald is dropped. That should charge. I don't think it's going to die. There you go. Mid tier 1, and KOVA on the objective first. They're honestly quite happy about that. It's Victor and Tristana that want to have the setup on objectives first, so that people can come into them and then As far as Tristana's involved, she can then look to get aggressive first, but they don't care about that. They want to go anyway. Teleport comes down.
Dragon going very, very low. Still trying to stack up onto it, but now the fight has kicked off in earnest. No one's going too low.
Ooh.
The Dragon has been stolen away. Sturby on the back line is trying to dance away from Wixer. Will be able to do so, but Simply's caught out in the middle of it. Head Zero breaking up the back line, getting damage on the Simply. He goes down. Outlandish will follow soon, but Snarmy still doing so well. Still untouched. Is going to run on through. Tiara and Tattoo are there to keep him alive, and the damage is massive. Babor dies midair, and they'll be able to take down Victor. Quadra kill going over to Snarmy. Gwen on the bot side, well out of range for the Penta, but KOVA turn on the style in the team fight and pick up a big one.
Honestly, you kind of understand why Granit want to contest an objective, right? The pressure's mounting. They don't want to give over Soul Point, but I think just quite frankly, take a look at the items, man. Muta's not hit that first IM spot, that first IM power spike yet. Babor's still only sitting on Kraken Slayer. You look across the board, yes, I know it's a little bit unfair now because IMs have just been fought after that team fight, but realistically, the point is, it's KOVA that had the item lead, and it's KOVA that had the gold advantage, and they also had the positional advantage. And quite frankly, if you can't find the angles to lock down Tsunami in that team fight, you're just never going to be successful. We've got the replay on our screen, and even though teleport comes down, and honestly, the angle is nice, at the end of the day, if you can't lock down Tsunami, you know, even though they get the dragon, great, they just gave over about 2,000 gold almost in terms of the kills, and then also some of the waves that dropped as well. It's just not the best fight in the world. Obviously, Indecision ends up running down Outlandish on the bottom side of the fight, but that doesn't matter when Kallista's getting handed a free quadra kill on the top side of it.
And Snarmy remains basically untouched. Yes, there's some sustain, so a couple of hits onto them did get healed up throughout the fight, but ending full health on Kallista, probably not the optimal one if you're a fan of Granit. But I've got a question for you, Jamada, because I want you to give me your opinion of this while we've got a little bit of a lull in the game. Victor, right?
Okay.
What's the point? I've never understood the appeal.
What, playing Victor?
Well, just like, why do we see it picked so frequently?
I mean, it's a champion that deals pretty well into short-range compositions. It's got a lot of destruction with the gravity field. If it can sort of farm up and scale into some matchups, then it certainly can provide a lot of, pressure in terms of not being able to siege into him if you don't have a Baron buff because the wave clear is so oppressive. There's loads of pros. There are plenty of cons as well. The scaling time can certainly be an issue, and Outlandish
going in onto the Victor. Muta caught out. He's going to go down. Sturmy is dominating, and he's looking for more. Wixo in Indecision trying to get away, but Gwen will be the next target. Going to be cut down. It's going to be the set delivering the final blow to that one as KOVA pick up another team fight, pick up another tower, and with Baron spawning in 40 seconds, they might reset and look.
Yeah, and that's one of the major cons of Victor. You're asking me about it. You're just vulnerable to die, especially when you don't have flash. All of this early aggression. Victor wants the game to be slow. Victor wants the game to not be explosive until it's on his terms. But KOVA are composition all about making things happen on their terms. And quite frankly, Outlandish again, he recognizes, all right, I mean, we've got the gold lead, we've got the map pressure, we've got the vision. I know I'm about to go in, and they can't really do anything to stop me again. The engage from Zac can't really be interrupted by almost anyone in this team comp, bar like a really well-timed Wukong Cyclone. And Wukong has to be on top of the carries, which is not exactly where he wants to be in these fights. So, Outlandish free reign. So yeah, great engage there from the mid lane, and KOVA can kind of set up for this again. They can just sort of strangle Granit out of this vision. This time I don't expect Granit to contest this dragon in a minute's time. Here, the engage, there's not really much to talk about. It lands onto Muta. Muta just gets headbutt pulverized. One shot in the CC as Indecision just kind of caught up in the middle of it all. Unfortunately for him, Rixo manages to walk away with his life. And with a 2.5 item AD carry plus a Viego with 2 items, honestly, it wouldn't be out of KOVA's depths to start this Baron ASAP. Probably after this next dragon takedown, realistically. So make sure, head over to KitKat Gaming on Twitter for a decent chance to win some skins. Breaking news. A lot of stuff gets given away on this show.
I'm here for it. I never win anything though, so you know. If KitKat are listening, or NLC, hit your boy up.
You asking for some rigging going on? That's not
no, I would never do that on
right.
podcast.
Okay, yeah.
No, absolutely not. But okay, this is kind of the question that the desk posed, and we talked about a little bit at the beginning of the show. Are we convinced by this Zac pick?
Oh, I mean, this Zac pick, yes, it was R5. You get to see every single champion on the map. So, I mean, it's one of the few times you can pick Zac. It's like, okay, I have all of the information at hand. Any potential jungler is not really going to be able to give me a pain in the backside in the early game. So, yeah, I'll take it. It's free engage. They needed another true sort of hard go button, in my opinion. You know, Alistar needs flanks or direct flashes. And it's kind of the same thing for Tatooine as well. They didn't have a straight up go button outside of maybe Kalista, but that's a very telegraphed engage. So I think the Zac in this case worked. And I mean, also Orcs called for a little more engage, more dive, and you can see it's working out well for them.
Don't know if there's another champion that could provide more of both of those things.
No, I don't think so either.
So good stuff from KOVA. Obviously listening to Coach Orcs. We'll see his name at the bottom of the screen next week for them. If they pick up a win, of course. If not, it's draft diff and we'll see him back on the analyst desk. But we're 22 minutes into this game. Big old goal lead for KOVA in what has to be quite an unexpected turn of events. And in fact, Orcs was saying when we were looking at predictions, there's only one game that might be a little bit cut and dried, and I'm not even going to play by play over that. It's another kill for Simply, and yeah, this Muta isn't convincing me on this champion.
No, not at all. Victor struggling into this team composition in general, and that can be one of the dangers of, you know, sort of blind picking a Victor. Of course, it was picked after the Viego, and the Viego ended up going mid, but at the end of the day, it was still, you know, potentially set mid, Viego jungle, set top, counter pick for mid. Loads of options KOVA had come there R5, and with that pick in the bottom side, it's just going to signal Baron. They're even going to teleport Simply up here, and whilst I understand Granit having to try and contest this, they try to, I think they're just all going to die.
Second teleport's coming.
Pretty quick turn could come out, and there you go.
And this is the elastic slingshot. Just managed to bring everyone together though. Let's Bounce is going to break up the fight. It's indecision. Needs to be careful, but they managed to take down members, and it's actually being turned. KOVA needs to be so careful. Muta is untouched. Is burning through with the AP. Indecision looking to re-engage. Wixo there gets the Zenith Blade, and now Stormy needs to be super careful. Bravo going forward. Can't find Tiara though. And look at the backline. Simply gets the reset, but he just falls down. Tiara not healthy enough to re-engage, but that Baron has well and truly been stopped this time around. Granit Gaming come out on top.
All right, you got to give it to Granit there. Real nice stuff, being able to contest and actually stop that Baron takedown. And hey, we'll get the replay on our screens. The elastic slingshot that just barely misses out on a couple of members. I don't think it's the best target to go onto realistically, the Wukong and the Gwen, but it's the only targets they had. Tatooine doesn't actually get to do much, bursting down. Same for Outlandish. The ultimate saved the Alistar, and you can see on the bottom side, Simply takes over the Wukong form. Muta just starts to lose all of his HP bar. Another Heartbreaker comes down, but Simply, I think, didn't actually hit Gwen initially with it. I think only hit Muta. And that was kind of the difference. If you went for the Gwen swap targets midway through, could have potentially had a little more HP to work with on that reset. Even went on to continue Carnage, but wasn't quite able to. And that is honestly one of the worrying things about a champion like Viego. You go untouched or unchecked in a team fight, you get the resets going, which becomes so oppressive to start to take down. And when you got things like a Zac, a Set, Alistar diving into your face, it can be hard to actually keep tabs on him. But for now, KOVA again, they're starting up this Baron. They're not dissuaded by the previous attempt. They say Granit kind of just got a pretty optimal team fight into us. This time around, Granit is a little less optimistic or willing to approach this one so aggressively, though they're slowly sneaking forward.
Yes, Stunny is stacking up for that big red
at the
end, but you can see Simply on the side getting so much damage onto Braybro. He's only cut down before the fight even kicks off. The Baron is still rolling, but Outlandish picks up the kill, and this time around, there's really no opportunity for Granit to do anything. Baron picked up all 5 members of KOVA, and members will have to slink away.
Yeah, I mean, just Simply abusing the vision advantage he had there, able to get onto Baybro. Baybro didn't have any summoners, couldn't exhaust him, dies almost within the CC, doesn't even get to cast Buster Shot. And Zero, not even sure how he died. I think he just tried some kind of heroics on the top side of the map, as this is the earlier Baron, which we've already seen. That's okay. Probably get the replay of what just happened. As I will say the Gwen skin's kind of cool, that recall, but I don't think base Gwen's still better.
You're not talking about skins, are you?
I am.
I'm going to be really, really upset with you.
Okay.
No. Apparently he doesn't like the skin talk. Talked to me about skins yesterday. So that's fine. No worries. At least at me. When you know. But something that we haven't mentioned too much is Tsunami obviously on this Callista. In theory, does make taking these neutral objectives a little bit safer because you have that massive injection of damage, and it's going to be much harder for Granit to get on top of them. But around these objectives, we've seen the fighting be okay. The gold lead looks pretty good for KOVA still, though.
Yeah, I don't think Granit have actually held a gold lead in this game outside of, double digits as Hex Flash. That's what you're getting engaged onto, but he's going to be fine.
Away. Tiara there, look at Simply on the side. He can have the damage going down as they're trying to get the Dragon before the rest of the team turn on. So this fight indecision goes so low. There's the Dragon Soul being secured and the damage injection is going to be huge. Snurby once again untouched on the side. Really nice engage coming through from Tiara, from Outlandish, and Snurby with the follow-up triple as KOVA looking to cut down the last remaining member. Hezero cannot jump away, not going to be caught out this time as Outlandish ends up the feist. The 8s for KOVA, the Dragon Soul, the Baron buff. I think they've got all they need.
Yeah, they should be able to end the game here. And yes, we can talk about the fact that Tsunami is 905 and he's probably dealt the most damage. And yes, we can talk about Simply, who's on multiple occasions blown up 4 members of this Granit lineup. But honestly, it's, for me, still about Outlandish, Tatooine, Tiara, these divers, these facilitators here that have allowed these KOVA damage dealers to do what they've been able to do. KOVA, they're going to pick up the second win here of the split into Granit. Very convincing. The Zac pick absolutely dismantles Granit.
Absolutely stunning play from KOVA. Really impressive performance from a team that was 1-6 going into this game, picking up only their second win in the NLC season. It looked really good.
Yeah, it did. And it's the kind of decisive play that we'd hope to see from KOVA, based off Spring Split. Yes, they didn't necessarily go crazy far into playoffs, but the fact that they made it into playoffs was, sort of considered a miracle in itself. People didn't have high hopes for KOVA. But this time around, it's been a bit of a different story. They've not had the best of starts, but hopefully, as these cross-division play segment of the split continues, they can try and develop a little further and try and play on a slightly more consistent and concise manner and pick up more wins.
Decent win for KOVA in cross-division play. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, it'll be the analyst desk's job to try and work out exactly what happened. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.